faraway place, there lived a lovely princess named Snow White. Her hair was black as coal, her lips red as rose, and her skin as white as snow. Snow White's stepmother, the queen, was very cruel. She hated anyone who was more beautiful than she. The queen treated Snow White like a servant. Snow White never complained. She was obedient and hardworking, but she dreamed of a handsome prince who would take her away to his castle. One day, while drawing water from the well, a handsome stranger appeared, charmed by Snow White's singing. But Snow White was too shy to speak to him. Inside the castle, the queen asked her magic mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?" Every day the mirror had the same reply. "You are the fairest," he told her, and the queen was content for another day. But as Snow White grew older, she also grew more beautiful, and the queen became very jealous. One day, the magic mirror told the queen that someone else was the fairest in the land. It was the princess Snow White. In a jealous rage, the queen called her royal huntsman into the throne room. "Take Snow White far into the forest and kill her," she commanded, "and as proof of your deed, bring me back her heart in this." She handed the stunned huntsman a beautiful carved box. "Poor Snow White," said the hunter to the innocent princess. "I cannot kill you. You must run away and hide from the queen." Snow White was so frightened that she ran off through the dark woods. At last she came to a cottage. "Who lives here?" Snow White wondered. Then she heard the voices singing in the distance. The 7 dwarfs who lived in the cottage were coming home from a hard day at work in the diamond mine. The dwarves introduced themselves. Their names were Sleepy, Grumpy, Happy, Duck, Dopey, Sneezy, and Bashful. They invited Snow White to share their supper. Snow White felt so safe with the dwarves that she decided to stay with them. But the evil queen soon found out that Snow White was still alive. She would have to take matters into her own wicked hands. She fled to the dungeon beneath the castle. There, the queen mixed a potion that would change her into an old hag. Then she took an apple and slowly dipped it into another potion. "One bite of this poisoned apple and Snow White will close her eyes." "Forever," she cackled. The old woman appeared at Snow White's window. "Hello, dearie," she said. "Taste one of my delicious apples. It's apples pies that makes the men folks' mouth water. Pies made from apples like these." Then she held the poisoned apple out to Snow White. The birds tried to warn Snow White away from the poisoned fruit. They fluttered and flew around the hag, trying to make her drop the apple. Stop it, cried Snow White. The birds flew away sadly. Then the animals of the forest ran to the dwarfs to warn them that something was very wrong and that they needed to come right home. The 7 dwarfs raced to the cottage and found the old woman trying to sneak away and Snow White lying lifeless on the floor. The dwarfs chased the hag into the forest. A storm began to blow as the evil woman ran away. Suddenly, she came to the edge of a steep and rocky cliff. First, she tried to move to a huge rock so it would roll down on top of the poor dwarfs and crush them. "Look out!" cried Grumpy to the others. At that moment, lightning struck. The queen lost her balance and fell to her doom. The sad little dwarfs built a bed of golden glass for their beloved Snow White. They kept watch over her day and night. Then one day, a handsome prince rode into the forest. How beautiful the young woman was! The prince knelt down and kissed Snow White tenderly. His kiss awakened her. Then Snow White and her prince rode off into his kingdom, where they lived happily ever after. made a special puppet that he named Pinocchio. "I wish you were a real boy," said Geppetto sadly. That night the Blue Fairy came to Geppetto's workshop. "Good Geppetto," she said, "you have made others so happy. You deserve to have your wish come true." Smiling, the Blue Fairy touched the puppet gently with her wand. "Little puppet made of pine, wake, the gift of life be thine." And in the blink of an eye, she brought Pinocchio to life. "Pinocchio, if you are brave, truthful, and unselfish, you will be a real boy someday," said the Blue Fairy. Then she turned to Jiminy Cricket. "Jiminy," she said, "you must help Pinocchio." She told Jiminy that she was giving him a very important job. He must be Pinocchio's conscience, keeper of the knowledge of right and wrong. The next day, Geppetto proudly sent his wooden boy off to school. "Jiminy Cricket will show you the way," said Geppetto. "Be sure to go right there." Pinocchio headed off, but never found his way to school. He went away with Stromboli, an evil puppeteer who promised to make him famous. That night, Pinocchio had great fun as he danced on the stage, but afterwards Stromboli locked him in a cage so he could never escape. The Blue Fairy appeared and asked Pinocchio why he hadn't gone to school. Pinocchio lied and told her that he had been kidnapped. Suddenly, his nose began to grow. When Pinocchio finally told the truth, the fairy set him free. "I'll forgive you this once, Pinocchio, but this is the last time I can help you. Remember, a boy who won't be good might as well be made of wood." The next day, Pinocchio met a man who drove a stagecoach pulled by the team of sad little donkeys. "Come with us to Pleasure Island," said the coachman. The stagecoach was full of noisy boys. They were laughing and talking all at once. Pinocchio thought it looked like fun. "Don't go, Pinocchio," cried Jiminy Cricket, but still Pinocchio climbed aboard, ready for adventure. On Pleasure Island, Pinocchio and the other boys ran wild and stuffed themselves with sweets, but Pinocchio's fun did not last long. All of a sudden, he began to grow donkey's ears and a tail. Pinocchio was frightened. He and Jiminy Cricket ran for their lives away from Pleasure Island. But when the two returned home, Geppetto was gone. Pinocchio was very upset. Where could Geppetto be? A dove suddenly appeared with a note from Geppetto. The note said that he had gone to sea to look for Pinocchio and had been swallowed by a whale. Pinocchio set off at once to find Monstro the whale and save his father, and indeed, Pinocchio found Geppetto in the belly of the great whale. Geppetto was thrilled to see his little puppet, but how were they ever going to get out of there? Pinocchio had an idea. Together they built a fire and used the smoke to make Monstro sneeze. Geppetto and Pinocchio were thrown out of the whale and into the sea. Fighting the waves, Pinocchio helped to get his father to shore, safe and sound. But there was Pinocchio lying face down in the water. Geppetto scooped Pinocchio up in his arms and carried him home. Geppetto laid Pinocchio on his bed and knelt by his side. "Little Pinocchio, you risked your life to save me," he sobbed. Suddenly the Blue Fairy appeared once more. Waving her magic wand over Pinocchio, she said, "Now you have proven yourself brave, truthful, and unselfish. Today you will become a real boy. Awake, Pinocchio, awake." Jiminy Cricket watched as his friend came to life. Their troubles were over and Jiminy's job was done. At last, Geppetto's wish for a real son had come true. Okay, those are the two stories that we will be reading today. If you have enjoyed this and would like to hear more bedtime stories, let me know and I'll continue on